I feel like almost every woman has experience with this, where you feel slightly uncomfortable in your body, where you feel sort of disconnected from your body, and you constantly have this external perspective on how you look in each moment. This is a manifestation of us not completely embodying and loving our body. For me, this was very linked to modeling, which in a way is ironic because you think as a model you embody the beauty standard of a female body, but it is the fact that your product, your body, is something you sell every day, creates this hyper awareness of how you look at each moment, and that you should adjust how you look. And that created this huge disconnection for me from my body, where I was at one point just an empty shell because I didn't want to be here. This actually started the whole sort of self-development and tantra journey for me. And through doing all that work, I started to become embodied again. I started to inhabit my body again. And through that, I started loving my body again and learning to be intimate with it and really feeling deep respect and love for it. So if you recognize those symptoms of disconnection or slight body judgment or insecurity, then this video is for you. I'm going to give you 5 ways in which you can learn to start loving your body and really feeling beautiful and feeling sexy, no matter how you actually look. Before I get into that, I want to quickly touch on why is it that so many of us are struggling with insecurity around our body and deep self-judgment towards how we look. So all throughout history, women have learned in a subtle or very blatant way that they're inferior to men, that they are basically a man's property. And even though this in the recent past is not that present anymore in our lives, it still sits in the background that we have to look a certain way to please the man, or that we have to be a certain way for him, for that gaze. And we have internalized that gaze and sort of applied it to ourselves. And with social media, this obviously has taken a whole nother level, where you see so much material to compare yourself with, seeing these beauty standards, seeing the women that look the right way, get the right kind of confirmation, and then you feel like, oh fuck, I should look like that. This is just another manifestation of this whole deeply rooted inferiority complex that women have, that women grow up with, and that women have been programmed by for centuries. The ironic thing is though, if we answer to these beauty standards and we look that exact way that we think we should look, it doesn't actually make us happy. There is no end point to that. And that is because we create this disconnection with our body, where our body becomes this object, this thing that should look a certain way but doesn't actually have any content. It doesn't actually have any aliveness in it. It's just a shape. And as a human being, that is just fundamentally unsatisfying, because you are alive. You are a breathing, complex, intelligent being. So it will never be satisfying for you to live solely for your external image. So we want to find a way to start feeling beautiful in an authentic, real and deep way, where it's not easily shaken by the way our body looks, because it is this deeply visceral, energetic thing that we carry. So that's what you want to create, and that's what I'm going to help you with in this video in the following 5 ways. The first way is to actually embody your body. When you're living in the mind, or when you're constantly externally viewing yourself, the amount of criticism, the amount of judgment that you can have of your body is endless. It's infinite, because you are flying in this abstract realm. When you are actually in the body, when you're actually here, present in this moment, then you cannot travel that far in your mind about all the judgments and all the things that you change, because you are actually in the moment with your body. And when you embody it, you start to connect with the sensitivity and the beauty and the power of your body. And I love this tantric perspective, where beauty is not about how you look or how your body looks. It's about how sensitive you are and how sensitive your body is. And sensitivity is very connected with aliveness. And if you start perceiving that as beauty, then you're naturally more inclined to start embodying yourself. If you want to enhance your beauty in the tantric perspective, then you want to practice like mindfulness or yoga, breathing, or other types of embodiment practices to really start inhabiting this physical shape that you have. And the cool extra with that is that life just becomes so much more exciting when you're in your body, because you connect with your environment directly instead of through all these mental filters. We are so used to living behind this wall of ideas and judgments. When we live fully in the body, that wall just sort of evaporates and you see everything clearly. You see yourself clearly too. Second way is to connect with something that I like to call the goddess perspective. So this perspective is based on goddess religion, goddess spirituality, and it's also linked to basic physics. And the idea here is that everything is connected, that your body is made up of particles that once were stars or mountains or forests, and that your body will return to being that. And that it's this beautiful continuous flow of atoms and energy and matter flowing into all these different shapes. And for this short amount of time, these particles came together to be your body and to experience the universe through this body. It's almost like when you realize that you cannot deny the magic of being in this body right now. The fact that you are able to walk around the earth, to look at the stars, to contemplate life, that is so incredibly magical. So the goddess perspective is this perspective of everything is sacred, everything is connected, and everything is alive. So the next time when you look in the mirror, you don't look at how the beauty standards are not being reflected in your skin or the size of your waist, but you're looking at, oh my God, I'm looking at the cosmos in this shape right now, in this body of a woman right now that I get to live in and as. That by connecting with your body, you are connecting with nature. If you hold your body right now, you are holding this cosmic creation. Literally the particles and the matter that you are holding, it was created in the Big Bang. So it has that age, this cosmic age. And that is such a beautiful thing to realize. And when you truly feel that, it becomes really difficult to go like, oh, I think my hips should be a little bit slimmer or my butt should be a bit rounder, because you're like, what the fuck? No, it's so magical and it's so beautiful. There inherently can nothing be wrong with this beautiful creation. The third point, which is really important, is trauma healing. So when you've experienced traumatic experiences in your life, it can be really difficult to love your body. If your body has caused pain or danger or unsafety, then it becomes a place you don't want to be at. It becomes a place where you feel uncomfortable because it has betrayed you in the past. You know, if you have sexual trauma or medical trauma, then there can be this very complex relationship with your body. And you cannot just as easily be like, oh, I love my body, it's full of goodness, because you're like, no, it actually creates danger for me. And if I am there, I'm gonna experience pain. This is a very real and deep thing that we cannot ignore. To heal this, you simply need actual therapy. Go to a body-based therapist, I would suggest, to work through those traumas, because it sits in the body, these blocks, these emotions. And if you go to a psychologist, you might talk everything through and you understand exactly why you feel the way you do, but that doesn't relieve or release anything in your body. You need to actually move that out, release it through emotional expression or tears or shaking, whatever the therapy is, so that you can start feeling your body again. The fourth way to start loving your body and feel beautiful is a bit lighter than the previous one, and that is to cultivate pleasure. when you start cultivating pleasure in your body, it becomes really difficult to hate that place or to judge that place, to see it as a burden or something you want to control, because you're like, wow, my body is such a source of goodness. It's such a source of joy and of nourishment. So this is where a self-pleasure practice can be incredibly powerful. And this is a complete rewriting of the story about pleasure, because we have so many distorted ideas about what pleasure is or how it should look, how it should sound. So it's a journey to find your own authentic pleasure and how that looks. But you start building this by experiencing self-pleasure and playing with self-pleasure and cultivating this honesty around what feels good and what doesn't. And then once you find what feels good and you build on that, you start building your ability and capacity to experience pleasure in your body. And the moment this grows and becomes really strong and alive for you, that's when you naturally start loving your body, because you become grateful. You're like, wow, this is such a sweet place where so much joy is hidden or is sourced. So I'm gonna take care of this place. The fifth and final way is cyclical living. If you don't know what cyclical living is, then I suggest you watch this video. Why this is important is because from a young age we learn that our body is gross, it's shameful, there's something wrong with it, it's bleeding, like all these things that are wrong with a female body. And through cyclical living, you start changing that story and you start to relate to your menstruation and your cyclical body as something sacred and beautiful and magical. And in my own experience and watching other women go through this too, I've realized that this is one of the most powerful ways to start loving your body. Because if you realize how incredibly intelligent your body is as it moves through these cycles, with all the processes that are attached to the seasons and to the waves, then you're like, whoa, this is an incredibly wise and beautiful system. And then it becomes really difficult to go like, oh, I hate my body, it should fit in a certain mold, it has to look this way or that way. If you start seeing, oh my God, it's this deeply intelligent piece of nature that is cycling through the seasons continuously, you see it so much bigger than just this object that culture makes you think it is. If you like this video, then feel free to subscribe to my channel. I will be posting more videos about self-development and self-love, sensuality, and women's empowerment in general. So I really hope that these ways have inspired you and that you feel hopeful and that there is a way out of this self-judgment and insecurity about your body. All these 5 ways have been so huge for me, and they were all keys that led to me fully and honestly loving my body and actually feeling beautiful. So, thank you for watching.